Hi everyone, and welcome to our second live event. I'm here, I'm Danielle, and I'm joined by my colleagues Joe, Aisha and Greg. And today we're going to be answering your questions on the energy price rise. Just a few things to run through. First of all, we're streaming on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn and YouTube. So whichever platform you're joining us from, drop us a follow and then you'll be guaranteed to get a notification the next time we go live. You can send in your questions on any platform using the comment box and we will be answering as many as we can. If we don't get around to answering your question today, then don't worry, we will be responding on social media in the next few days. So every question will get answered. And as always, the energy price rise and the current situation is ever changing. So if you're watching this in not live and you're watching it back, then just keep an eye on our website, which is optivo.org.uk/energy, because that is where we're going to be putting all of the information. So let's get going. Greg, I'm going to come to you first. We last met in February. Would you be able to give us an update on the situation and how it's changed since then?
Thanks, Danielle. Of course. So yeah, when we last had our catch up earlier in the year, then we were looking at prices rising quite significantly. And sadly, prices have risen even higher than we initially thought. Obviously, it's been a very busy year globally with the tragic events going on in Ukraine at the moment. And globally, the situation around energy has also not improved or got worse in some cases. So for domestic energy and for people looking to pay their bills right now, energy is sadly one of those that has gone up along with other bills. And in parallel to that, then there's been a lot of changes in government support as well. So the biggest thing probably for most people to be aware of is the energy price cap. And there's been several changes announced to the energy price cap this year. So first of all, it's now being reviewed every 3 months rather than every 6 months. And secondly, prices changed on the 1st of October. And there is a package of support from the government now, which will last until the end of March next year. So the current energy price cap is set at £2,500. And then everyone in the UK will receive a £400 discount on their energy bills this winter. Now, if you pay by direct debit, you'll receive that automatically. If you're on a prepayment meter, then you'll receive that via vouchers. There's a lot of other support available as well, which you can see on our website. And that a lot of that is means tested, so it's targeted at particular people in particular sets of circumstances. Mm-hmm. But to summarize the main changes, then prices have gone up far more than we expected. And the government response, there's been a government response to that as well.
So that kind of brings us nicely into our first question, to be honest. So we've had this one over the weekend, which is why our price is so high. And I suppose you've kind of touched on it, but is there any kind of reassurance that we can give people? I know it's really difficult, but in terms of why they're so high and what's happening at the moment.
Certainly. Well, as much as the UK government would love to control this, then energy is a global commodity, so the price is set globally, and because of the events going on around the world, that's what's caused the price spike. Now, unlike a lot of other things, then the price is very volatile, so it can change very quickly. So if we see something like a mild winter, or if we see an improvement in the situation in Ukraine or elsewhere globally, we could see prices improving quite quickly. But the other slight reassurance there is that the UK government at the moment seems to be quite committed to limiting price rises to consumers. The package of support at the moment is only guaranteed until next March, but for the moment, then bills have been capped at significantly below what they would cost on the open market. So they're designed to be kept affordable. I'm sure that's not total reassurance for a lot of people who have still seen massive increases, but along with the other support that's out there, then we hope that there is enough advice we can give you today and enough support out there that no one will be in a particularly difficult situation, too difficult that they can't afford to heat their home or live their life as they usually would.
Okay. And the last time that we met, so this is our next question actually, which brings us on quite nicely. We was advising people that it was probably best to stay with your current supplier, not to switch, not to search for new deals. Has that changed since?
That hasn't changed since we last spoke. So our advice to everyone is still stick with your current supplier. It's not worth shopping around at the moment. There aren't any deals out there which are cheaper than the price cap that you're already beyond. The next time that could change will be at the end of March 2023, but we'll provide plenty of prior notice and advice on how to switch when that could potentially save people money again.
Okay, amazing, thank you. And we've also had another question in over the weekend, and this is something that I've also been reading about in the media a lot, and I don't know whether we can kind of provide any more clarity on it, but it's about blackouts. So we've obviously been hearing quite a lot about these blackouts that could happen early next year, and is this something that we should be concerned about?
Well, we tend to see a lot of articles in the media whenever there is a remote risk of something going on. So, often there's media reports about blackouts in the run-up to winter. That's been the case for the last several winters, and there is usually always some kind of report saying that it's a possibility, and it is a possibility every winter. The biggest factor is the weather. If we have a particularly cold winter or a particularly cold week or two, then there is always the risk of a blackout. But there is a lot of preparation going on in the industry at the moment to avoid that. Domestic customers will always be prioritized over other things like offices or industry or anything like that. So the chances are still very, very low. What I would urge any residents out there to do if they qualify for the Priority Services Register is to contact their supplier. Yeah, so it's quite a broad criteria. If you have children under 5, any kind of disability, if you're of pensionable age, or if you are financially insecure or even suffered a bereavement recently that's affecting you, then you could qualify for the Priority Services Register. And the main difference that will make is you'll be made a priority in case we had any kind of blackout event. So emergency heating will be provided by the local provider, and you would be hopefully notified in advance as well. Now, Optivo have already done that for the communal spaces of schemes for residents who meet that criteria. But for your home supply as well, then I'd really recommend contacting your supplier and getting yourself on that register if you think it will be of benefit.
Amazing, thank you. And we do have information of that on our website as well. So if anyone does want to know more about that, it's running along the bottom there. It's www.optivo.org.uk/energy. Thank you so much, Greg. That was really useful.
No problem. Thank you.
Aisha, I'm going to come to you next to talk really about the support that's out there. So we've just heard about what the situation is and where we're at. So could you give us a brief overview of what support, I know that the government have put in some support that we just touched on. Can you expand on that at all?
Okay, so the first thing I want to say is that if you are confused, don't worry. We're all having a hard time trying to grasp what this means to us. And that's not to say that you won't be able to find out what's going on. It's more along the lines of, please give yourself the extra time and energy just to digest what this is, because actually it is quite ever changing. And when sometimes you feel like you settled on one thing, slight changes mean that actually it might not throw you off kilter, but actually give you another start. And so what we're talking about is just taking a deep breath and allotting some time to sit down and go through it. And then actually, once you've gone through it, then have a check and make sure that whatever your funds are correct. And so I'll say this from the beginning. We've had an increase in our gas and utility. There's no doubt about that. The government have been talking about and giving us support over the last, I think since April of this year, we've been seeing the impact and the changes, and also the advice and support they've been given. So we've had benefits for those people on a low income come in, where they've had bumper or an increase in money over the summer, and they're going to be expecting another increase over the autumn. We've also had the utility payment that started from April, which councils were given out, and that was for council tax. And if you haven't collected it, it will be added to your council tax bill for this year. The final thing that we're talking about from the government is also the £400 that they've said that they will be adding to your gas and electricity. And they've done it in many ways, because not everybody receives the gas and electricity in the same way. So for those people who pay by direct debit, you'll see on your bill, or the money might go straight into your account. For those people on a smart meter, the money will go onto your utility account. If you've got a prepayment, you put in a card or a key meter, what they will do is they will send you out vouchers, and then when you top up, you can use that voucher to actually reduce your bill. Every month, everybody will see a £66 reduction in their gas and electricity bill, and that's for the next 6 months. So that's October, November, December, January, February, March. Obviously, there are going to be changes coming up in April, and once we hear more information about that, we will let you know, through whatever methodology that we use, and that could just be emails, texts that you get from us, or you could just come and speak to the financial inclusion team, and we can give you support. So now that I've said that spiel, the next thing to talk about is the £2,000 energy price cap that people keep on banding around, and you're in your head saying, but I don't use that much money on my gas and electricity. What are they talking about? They're talking about two things. The first thing is they're talking about the unit price of your gas and electricity, and they're capping the amount that you can be charged. Now, when you're looking at your bill, you don't necessarily look at the unit price. You're just looking at how much do you want to pay. The unit price is how much a unit of gas and electricity costs. And you'll notice that when you look at your meter, it goes up by one, by one, by one. That's the unit we're talking about. The second part is the daily price that you've got to be your charge to access gas and electricity. So the standing charge, very similar to what we've got for water, and they've capped that amount. And so they're not saying that your bill won't be more than 2,000 or can't be less than 2,000. What they're saying, that they've capped the amount that they can charge you. And so it shouldn't be any more than £2,000 for that part. And the reason why I talk about whether you've got more or less is because actually this is not a standard price. This is the average price. And so if your gas and electricity has never been more than £1,000, then you're not necessarily looking at an increase of up to £2,000. You're just looking at your standard amount being actually increased, but no more than £2,000. And so you're not necessarily having to look for extra money or to say my bill's going to be £2,000. That's not what they're looking at.
Okay. And it is worth saying, really, isn't it, with the support that's out there, that we don't have to do anything to claim it. The support that the government's been, because I know that, and we have put on our website as well and on our social media pages, that there have been some scams out there asking people to claim, and it's nothing that we need to do.
Here's the thing. If you just chose to ignore all conversation from council tax with regards to the £150, they would send you a letter saying, here you are, you need to do this. You ignore that first letter. They then send you another letter saying, okay, you didn't respond to the second letter. Please, can you go to your post office and you can reclaim the money? If you ignore that, they will send you a third and final letter, and they'll say the £150 has been added to your account. So for your council tax, you don't have to do anything for it. And it's the same with your utilities. They will contact you, and they will give you either a voucher, or they will send an email saying, this is what we are doing for you. You don't need to do anything. So if it is that anybody's trying to get you to give them any money, or say you need to click here to get access to, That's all incorrect. It's all a scam. The only people that will be contacting you is your utility supplier for your prepayment meter, and they will send you a voucher. They will not ask you to do anything else. And with that voucher, you can then go to your local pay point and actually access the voucher and get a reduction on your gas and electricity from that point. And it's important to know that actually, if it is that you've received an email, a text, a phone call from a supplier, and you're not sure, put the phone down and call them back. They've got a free phone number that you won't get charged, and you can actually find out that way.
Perfect. Thank you so much. That is really useful. And we'll put that information on our website as well.
Definitely.
So we've had a question as well about the support that we offer as Optivo.
Okay.
And that is about the money planner. So I've seen this advertised on our website and across our social media channels. Would you be able to tell us a little bit about what it is?
I will not go on speaking drills about the new tools that we have at Optivo and the financial inclusion team, because not everybody gets excited about this kind of stuff like I do. What I will say is that it is a tool that allows us to support our residents. It is an income and expenditure with a very detailed amount of information, but it's from your perspective, the resident. It doesn't take long to complete. We're not actually asking for specific or secretive information that you won't know of. This is everything that you can actually roll off within a 5-minute time frame. With that, we're then able to then look and better understand your financial situation and see what help you could be entitled to. And it really is as simple as that. You can find the money planner on our website. You click in through it, and you can also get it through, access it through my account. And it really is that simple. I couldn't say any better than that. A couple of buttons, and Bob is your uncle.
Amazing. And I'll just nip back to this one as well, because what support out there for me is, I know that we've got Nudge, is that right?
We do. So Nudge is another tool that we use, but this one is slightly different in that you are in control of the support and the information and how you actually filter it. And so what it is, it's an online tool that actually can support, guide you, give you education as to how you can best manage your money and actually upskill you so that you are in a better position than what you start. And I think that from the advice perspective, we're always encouraging people to be able to upskill and learn for themselves. It's a web platform that combines both educational and personalized and timely unbiased prompts. And so what you do is you'll log in, you'll give them some detailed information about you and your circumstances. And from that, they'll guide you through the path. And so you can easily say, no, I don't want to do that. Or this is great, I want to look at this information. And then you'll actually get it tailored towards your circumstances.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And our final question, I suppose, for this section that we've had in is about warm banks. So this is, again, I suppose, similar to the things that we've heard about blackouts. We've also heard a lot in the media about warm banks. So is that something that people need to know about? And if they do you know where we can find information on that?
I think it's always important for people to know what's available and what's out there. So warm bank is simply a place where you are able to stay and keep warm. From Optivo's perspective, we're not necessarily offering warm banks per se, but what we do have is community centres, and we'll be running lots of activities in those community centres, and we encourage people to come to those community centres. They will be warm, fully functional. And so while it's not a warm bank, we have activities running, it will be a place where you can keep warm.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you so much, Aisha. That was amazing.
Oh, you're welcome.
Joe, I'm going to come to you because we've had a question in. So I will ask you to kind of touch on how we can stay warm, because I suppose in the face of this challenge, there's things that people can do around the home. And we've had this question on LinkedIn. So it's, does Optivo offer any advice in relation to reducing energy consumption? So I know that is your forte. So what can we do around the home to kind of help ourselves in this situation?
So we have a service called the Green Doctor Energy Advice Service, which contact us and we can refer you to that. They have two options. They can either come to your home and do a full survey of your home and have a look at what you can do to improve the energy efficiency of your home. or they can do a telephone consultation. So obviously, following the last couple of years, not everybody wants people coming around their homes, so they can also do a telephone consultation. Now, this isn't to look at major works. This is to give you advice on making the best of what you've got. So they can do things like they can provide radiator covers that go between your radiators and your walls to make sure your heat's reflecting back into your room rather than going out of the walls. They can look at getting you some insulation tape for your windows if they're quite drafty, or under doors and things like that. They can look at water savings for you, suggestions along those lines. So they will come up with the things to help you make the best of what you've got. I mean, we've got a big list of energy saving ideas and things you can do that's on our website. For example, they will ask you whether you have baths, whether you have showers, give you all sorts of ideas. When you have a shower, do you stand under the shower for 15 minutes, lathering up and having a lovely time? Or do you turn the shower on, get wet, turn it off, lather up, then turn the water back on? Because that can save, obviously, water consumption and also the heat for heating the water for the shower. Things like, obviously, we've all heard of only fill the kettle and boil for what you're going to use. Don't boil a whole kettle for 1 cup. Open your blinds and your curtains in the day if it's sunny. Get their natural heat into your home. Then when it starts getting cooler in the evenings, shut your curtains to keep that heat that you've retained into your home. Ideas like when you use your washing machine, always make sure it's a full load, because you really don't save much money by doing a half load. So you're better off doing less loads than doing nice full loads all the time and running your washing machine less often. So I said there's lots of ideas like that. Green Doctor can come out, they can do that over the phone. They're also looking at winter warmer packs for people. So for people where there maybe aren't so many options, that say they'll give up the radiator covers, low energy light bulbs. They're looking at offering blankets to people, woolen socks, just things to try and keep you warm if you can't warm your whole house. But as the other guys have said, really with the cap on the energy, everybody should be able to keep their home heated to some degree. But we're trying to do everything we can just to make it easier and just to give you energy saving tips along the way.
Perfect, thank you. And we can put those tips on our webpage. I know that we've got some up already, and we've got a really handy table as well, actually, which shows making some of those changes, how much money that you can save per year. And when I saw it, I was quite shocked. So yeah, that's definitely really handy. We've already touched on the Green Doctors and how they can help us. So just to confirm, is that a free service that's available to us?
Free service, either call in or use Contact Us, send us an email, just say you'd like to be referred to that, and we will send that across to them. And they should give you a call within 5 working days just to say, right, do you want us to come out and see you, or do you want to have a chat over the phone? For some people, they kind of say, I've done all this, I know where I am with this, but is there anything else I'm missing out on here? Any other tips and tricks that you can give me? And then they can make an appointment to call back and have a longer conversation over the telephone if that's more convenient for people. Yeah, and that's all free.
Perfect. So that also brings us on quite nicely to this question that we've had about what is Project Renew. So I suppose this is more about what Optivo are doing to help our residents as well.
So Project Renew is our retrofit programme. This is going to be running for many years to come. So we have been tasked by the government to bring all our homes to an energy rating of C or above by 2030. So basically C means that your home's working pretty well for you. It's not costing you too much. Your heating's not going out the windows and doors, and everything's quite nice and comfortable. It does go down to a G rating. So obviously, so it goes from an A to a G. So you can see where C sits quite nicely on that. So Project New is a retrofit programme to bring properties up to that standard. And retrofit basically means we will do work in your home to improve the energy efficiency. So this is where we do the bigger work. So the Green Doctor service looks at kind of the smaller things you can do. This is where we do the bigger work. So we look at cavity wall insulation, external wall insulation, loft insulation. So basically it's about insulating your home to make sure it's warm, but also making sure that the ventilation is good so that your home doesn't sweat and you don't end up with condensation. Later on, we will be looking at trying to get all our homes to zero carbon. So then we will be looking at potentially having air source heat pumps in different heat sources. But at the moment, we're concentrating on getting the homes nice and warm, energy efficient, so that your heating's not disappearing out the roofs and the walls. Because it's a bigger project, of course, there's a lot of money that's got to go into this. So we use the data from things like our energy performance certificates, which a lot of residents will have already been asked to let people in to do those. We pull all the data together we've got to look at what programs we've got running, what funding we can get hold of to help with the programs, and then we will contact residents when their homes can go on one of our programs, and then we work with them to do that work.
Perfect. That sounds really positive and will make such a difference. So yeah, thank you so much for telling us about that. And I know we also have a page on our website. And later today, I will pop the link on that page that's running along the bottom there. So if anyone wants more information, they can go there. I can see one more question as well. And I don't know who wants to take this one, so I'll leave it up to you, Greg. I don't know whether it's one for you. But this is, my energy account is currently in credit. Is it worth leaving it there, or should I withdraw it and use it for other bills? Aisha, go for it. I love your enthusiasm.
I would say leave it there. That's not necessarily something that you need to think about, because I think many people might have their energy accounts in credit because we had such a delightfully warm summer. The focus should be on how can we reduce or make sure that our use of gas and electricity over the winter period is as small as possible. And that's about, making any tips, keeping your house warm, which I think we've mentioned here, or seeking advice and support. And the reason why I mention that is because it was such a warm summer.
Yeah.
Every month that you paid whatever your utility supplier said you need to pay for your direct debit or standing order wouldn't have been what your gas and electricity was, because actually it was very, very warm. But coming into winter, that your energy uses will increase, and hence then your bill will actually start rising, and then any credits that you've had in the summer might start reducing. And so while I'm not saying that, it's not money, then you could actually do something with it, we're just not sure right now what your current usage is, because we haven't actually been able to feel the full effect of the increase in energy prices unless you've got a prepayment meter. If you have, then you've seen the impact. But other than that, if you've got a credit on your account, it's just a wait and see right now. I'm sorry I couldn't have a better answer, but it's best to be.
That is really handy. It's almost using it as like a bit of a buffer, just in case we don't know what's going to happen. Okay, that is amazing. Thank you so much. I mean, I think that we've covered most of the questions that have come in. So thank you so much for sending those in. If anyone does have any questions that we've not quite covered, or if you're watching this at a later time and not joining us live and you've got questions, do keep posting them in the comments below, because we will be on social media and answering them as much as possible. And we'll also be updating all of our website with that information as well. So yeah, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you three. You've been amazing, and we'll get a date in the diary for the next live session when we can provide more of an update. But thank you so much. Take care.